talk about cranial bones first. The first cranial bone is occipital bone with the occipital condyles enclosing foramen magnum, and then paracondylar processes or jugular processes, and then the highest point on bovine skull is an intercornual protuberance, and there are parietal bones on each side. These are paired bones, and an interparietal bone in the middle. And then there is an external occipital protuberance where the ligamentum nuchae attaches. These are the cornual processes. And then we're going to come down to the sphenoid bone. These are the muscular tubercles of the basic sphenoid bone. Tympanic bulla of temporal bone. This is the temporal bone. And we have the external acoustic meatus right here. And then there is the mastoid process and the styloid process, and that encloses a stylomastoid foramen. And there is a okay, and this is the mastoid foramen, and then there is the foramen lacerum here, right here. You sure? Okay. And one thing I forgot about were there were two foramens in the occipital bone. The bigger one is hypoglossal, which is medial, and the smaller one is the condyloid foramen. And then coming down to the other bones, the temporal bone. There is a foramen ovale in the presphenoid bone, and then there is the foramen orbitorootendum, which is the largest foramen in the bovine skull, and then there's the optic foramen right here, and then there is the ethmoid foramen, which is made up of the ethmoid bone, the presphenoid bone, and the frontal bone in ox, and then there is the zygomatic arc, which is formed by the zygomatic process of temporal bone, the zygomatic process of the zygomatic process of frontal bone, and the frontal process of zygomatic bone. And the orbit is composed of the zygomatic bone, the lacrimal bone, and the frontal bone. And this right here is the lacrimal bone, and this right here is the lacrimal fossa, foramen, my bad. And then we have the palatine bone right here. This is the horizontal part of the palatine bone. This is the vertical part of the palatine bone. And this is probably the pterygoid bone, but I think this right here might be the pterygoid process of the presphenoid bone. And then you have the maxillary bone. You also have a few foramens in the palatine bone, the anterior palatine foramen and the posterior palatine foramen. And then you have the maxilla, the maxillary bone. This whole thing is the maxillary bone. And this is the facial crest, and this is the infraorbital foramen. And then coming to the other facial bones, this is the incisive bone, this is the nasal bone, and this right here is the naso-incisive fissure. And then there is this incisive fissure, and these are the palatine processes of incisive bone, and this is the palatine fissures. And I think one more thing I forgot about is the supraorbital foramen in the frontal bone. Sorry, this one. And that's